Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
I made mistakes. And a lot of enemies.
His call sign's Taskmaster. He controls the Red Room. They're manipulated, fully conscious, but no choices.
I should have come back for you. How many others are there?
Enough.
Hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Classic Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And welcome to the Spoilercast for Marvel's Black Widow. Now, if you haven't listened to our regular Black Widow review, we'll just give you our verdicts right now. That way we can go into the spoiler parts. We both gave it an 8 out of 10 for the movie, and we both thought the 3D was great. So this movie begins with a scene in the 1990s where the characters are quite young. Many people have said this is part of the best scene in the movie. What are your thoughts?
It's really good. I mean, it's a nice emotional tug, and it really sets up the dynamic between Natasha and her, I'm putting sister in quotes because they're a family, they're basically the Americans. They're Russian agents living undercover in America as a family together, and they develop a bond like a real family.
And you know, so we have the younger characters here that I really got to give them credit because they do a great job in the scene that they have. Ever Anderson as young Natasha and Violet McGraw as young Lena, I thought they both did fantastic for kid actors. And you get a real sense of, you know, how big of a deal this is, that they're getting used to living in America and they have to leave because the government found them out. And, you know, now I wasn't sure, did they like age down David Harbour or was it another actor?
I think they de-aged him, and it looked really good.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with that, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Or heck, maybe they just... I figure they de-aged him because his character through the rest of the movie has a beard.
Yeah, and you get a young Melina, the mom character, quote-unquote.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz.
So both of them are the parents, quote-unquote, to these two girls, and they have to leave, and they leave to Cuba, where they meet up with Dreykov, and they give him a disc, and it has information. And that whole opening scene where they're escaping with the airplane, I thought was really fun and great in 3D. The airplane was just like really popping out.
Oh yeah, David Harbour hanging on that wing, that was some awesome stuff.
Yeah, and just the girls kind of playing to begin with and like going on their swings and you just swinging back and forth in 3D. I was like, this is nice. And it's like, it's not like gimmicky, like totally, it just works. That's how the scene is.
Yeah, they had this family stuff. This is what I wanted more of in Captain Marvel. Yeah. I wanted to see her interacting with the, you know, I mean, I love the Nick Fury stuff, but I didn't think it belonged in that movie.
And that you have a scene where Melina is shot, and like the girls are actually like terrified that their bomb, quote unquote, are gonna get hurt. And I think that this scene played out so well, and you actually really feel for the girls. And then like, okay, you know that their mission is over now. Young Lena is going to become part of the Black Widow, and young Natasha is like, no, she's too young, and it's like, you know, and you get like this really intense scene of them like going through the process of becoming Black Widows and getting into the organization. And you see Dreykov over the years, and that his politics he was all over politics in the 90s and 2000s.
Yep.
Now, on the second viewing, I was like, oh, I did not recognize that Dreykov was at the airplane scene. I did not connect those dots. It's like, oh, okay. And then I did not connect, when Dreykov was in those still scenes with all the different politicians over the years. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know why I didn't connect those dots, but I did the second time viewing it. But like you see that these Black Widows are going around changing the Earth, different political history, and they're a pretty badass team of girls, which unfortunately they're not volunteered. That apparently Dreykov says that these girls are thrown away and not wanted, so he makes good quote unquote good use out of them, which is horrible because he basically brainwashes them and turns them into elite fighters.
Yeah, and then to make sure they stay loyal, he has hysterectomies performed on them. And what's even crueler is they don't remove the cervix, which greatly increases their cancer risks. So he doesn't even give a shit. He's willing to train them and spend all these resources, yet let them probably die of cancer.
Now, I really figured this was kind of a good allegory to the horrific sex trade. I don't know if you saw that.
Exactly what it is. It's the trafficking of women globally,
which is happening now, and it's happened for God knows how long, and it's still happening, and it's a horrific thing. But if you're not paying attention, it's one of those things that you're like, oh wow, this is horrible, and it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of a lot.
When you talks about her hysterectomy, the audience I sat with, they gasped and freaked out.
Yeah, I was with a fan of the show, and he was telling me that he wasn't sure about that because he would think little kids would be asking their parents what they're talking about, and I was like, well, it's fine.
If they're asking, you should tell them, because this is kind of an important health thing.
Anyway, I not all of the movies have to gear to small children. That's my point.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is something I think if a kid is curious enough about it, the adult in their life should answer. I mean, you don't have to go graphic, but it is something they should be aware of.
Yeah. So you kind of get to the present where, now you see that Black Widow is she gets like she's trying to hide from everything going on, from escaping the Sokovia Accords, which if you're not sure what the hell that is, you may be like, who is she hiding from? Who's that guy, General Ross? Why are they tracing her? You don't know that. You just kind of go into it and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she has this.
Yeah. They had a lot. I mean, like I said in the non-spoiler cast, my biggest problem with this movie was the lack of connective tissue to the movies that it's in between, because the further this movie gets away from how close right now there's 24, 25 Marvel movies. When there's 100, how many people are going to have seen them all, and they're going to be, what are they talking about?
Yeah, it could have been easily a scene they put in the movie to help anyone, refresh everyone what's going on, enough to give a memory, but they really didn't, and it kind of is like, what? Where is she? Why is she disappeared? Where are the Avengers?
Yeah, exactly.
So she meets up with Mason, which is an awesome character. I like him a lot. I want to see him more in movies and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Who's like, oh, I'm going to give you items.
Yeah, he was the fake out cast because everybody thought he was going to be Taskmaster.
And he's just like, oh, I'm going to help you out. We got a favor to, I'm going to, give you this trailer to live in. And in the trailer, it's like, oh, she gets mail, and she gets to get into a fight with the Taskmaster. Yeah. How do you say that?
Taskmaster.
And you figure out that Taskmaster is not trying to kill her, is trying to destroy the vials. And there's a picture of young Scarlet, or young Natasha and young Yana together, so he knows it's from her sister. And so, Taskmaster, what do you think of this as villain?
Awesome. In fact, I applaud the changes made, and those that have a problem with it, check your misogyny. First of all, it works beautifully in this story. It's a great character, and there can be more than one Taskmaster. I mean, there can be a more comic book accurate Taskmaster down the line. So, I mean, really, it serves the story very well.
Now, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I didn't know that much about him at all, really. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. You just kind of have to understand the movies are going to be its thing. They'll get inspired from the comics, but they can't be copy and paste, because if they do that, it's boring, because you know what's going to happen next. So I was actually thinking that it was a robot at first. So I was like, oh, this is not a robot. This is actually a human being. And you eventually learn that the identity is for the daughter of Dreykov, who Natasha thought she killed.
Yeah.
Which she didn't intend to kill, but it was collateral damage to try to kill Dreykov. And that was
And then Dreykov just harvested her pretty much for parts to be Taskmaster.
Yeah. And that was the scene that was often referenced to in Tibet? Not Tibet.
Budapest,
yes. So Budapest is finally revealed that was a scene where Black Widow and Hawkeye were trying to kill Draco.
Yeah, and I think Hawkeye should have been there in this scene. It would not have taken away from this being the story of the two Black Widows. Hawkeye and her talked so much about Budapest in the other movies. I thought fans deserved to see them in it together. Hopefully the Hawkeye TV show will get to see Natasha and Hawkeye in Budapest.
At least one episode of it, because
yeah.
I was thinking that was going to be the whole movie, Budapest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because they built that up so much in the movies.
So I wasn't even sure when this movie was going to take place. I was thinking that it was going to be a lot farther into the past than it did.
Exactly.
So, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Natasha, goes to Budapest to meet with her sister, and they have a fight, and then they figure out that they're equally matched, and that fight was just so much fun. And so they escape, and they figure out that the vials they have has like this red power, and the power there is basically can fix the brainwashing that has been created for the Black Widows. Which is like, okay, how did Scarlett Johansson do this herself? Because I'm not really sure how she got unbrainwashed to be a good guy.
She wasn't getting that chemical thing.
Oh, okay.
It was earlier. And Yelena had it, but she got exposed to the antidote.
Okay.
That's why Taskmaster was trying to destroy those vials. Because you could unbrainwash the new model of the Widows.
Got it. And the Black Widows are not like a specific name, like, my name is Adolf. It's a title of the kind of assassins that they are. So they don't have Spider-Man powers. Or spider powers. It's just a Black Widow because, like, a Black Widow spider kills. And it's usually that's the red triangles or whatever, that's what a Black Widow's, a symbol is that they kill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little marking they have on their body.
So now you get Scarlet and Florence talking about the past and trying to figure out who knows about this and how they could try to get more information on where Dreykov is. And they're like, oh, let's go to our quote-unquote dad. And they go break him out of prison. And I really just love Florence here as Iena. I think she just nails it and is so likable. And she's a badass too. And, we all know Scarlett Johansson is awesome as Black Widow. But Florence just comes in the show and like, I'm badass too. And it's just like, it's so nice to see that multiple women could be badasses. It's not just one person,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we also got multiple Black Widows, so we can have Florence can have a tag team with a whole bunch of widows if Marvel chooses.
Which eventually we'll see that she's going to be part of her own team, which we'll get to the
post. Yeah, and we also got to see the first mutant in the MCU.
Which was?
I can't remember the name of the character, but he arm wrestles with the Red Guardian in jail. And Red Guardian messes him up.
So we get to the jail scene. We get to meet the Red Guardian, which he is the first and only, I guess, Russian super soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who claims to have fought Captain America.
And they actually, mentioned in there the conversation that, well, Captain America was not unfrozen then. And, is there a different Captain America he fought, maybe?
That's what I'm wondering. See, in the comics, there were several people who were Captain America, because when Rogers was lost, they decided to keep it secret, and they had people become the new Captain America. So I'm hoping this is setting up the Crazy Cap from the 50s.
Well, I mean, it could also be the Black Captain from Captain America and Winter Soldier that we had talked about.
Yep, it could be him too. Or it could be the Grand Director, Captain America.
Yeah, there could be multiple of them, because they did say they experimented and they had their... so that's a nice little nugget to look forward to eventually.
And I'm thinking there's a really good chance it may be 50s Cap, because when they were doing Civil War, Marvel, as a misdirect, released a thing saying that it was going to be Steve Rogers was going to fight the 50s Captain America.
So what's...
And they have a tendency to push forward stuff they, use as a smokescreen. I mean, it doesn't mean it will happen, but here's hoping. Of course, if they do something else, it may be just as good or turn out to be better, because Marvel does have a track record.
So we'll have to see if that ever paid off, because a lot of little things here and there from Marvel that never get paid off. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But a lot of it does pay off, so hope springs eternal.
So we then go to that scene and the prison breakout, and that was just fun to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed having him arm wrestle the other prisoners and, show that he's still pretty badass. The super serum really does keep you pretty awesome for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if he was fighting Captain America in the 1950s, well, how old is he?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. And we also don't know what the timeline will be. And it's kind of a reference, to him in the comics fighting Captain America. And I also love the bit where they get his name wrong, Crimson Dynamo, who's another Russian kind of super soldier type character.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was just thinking that was being playful.
That's why they were being playful. That was a little Easter egg they dropped in.
So they escape and they go. It was like, well, I don't know where Dreykov is, but maybe your mother character knows. Where they go to Melina and they have a little family reunion, which I really like that scene again. That scene is just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the dynamics between them is awesome because they're not related, but yet they have built this family bond.
They have real chemistry on screen, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They had chemistry when they were young in the opening scene. They have chemistry now as older. And it's interesting that Natasha is really trying to be all business, but like Florence is just kind of enjoying it. And the rest of them are kind of enjoying it. So I it's so creepy but awesome too when David Harbour says to Alexei, I just got out of prison to have full of energy. And it's like, I know what that means.
And I also love the way they bust Natasha's chops, like where are your Avengers now? And we can really use. I mean,
and this scene pays off multiple times in the future. So we learn that Melina, she experiments with pigs, and that this the Black Widow program has learned from that experimentation where they could control pigs and control the Black Widows. And they could do whatever they want with these Black Widows, and they're still conscious, they're still aware of everything, but they can't stop it. And this really it's a beautiful, horrible scene, because this with a pig that you feel for, because like, you can't breathe, but it's suffering, but they're just testing it out to see how they can have that ability to control minds.
mm-hmm.
So then Taskmaster comes, and it looks like Melina is double-crossing them or not caring about them, but we later learn that it was a triple cross, and that Melina was helping them all and gave Scarlett Johansson a lot of information for later.
Yep.
Which I do like, but it also kind of feels a little bit cheap.
I thought it was not the most artfully staged triple cross, but it moved the story forward.
So they get captured, and they have their moment with Dreykov, and Scarlett Johansson wants to kill her, but can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has pheromones, apparently, and those pheromones apparently stop him, which...
Mm-hmm. If you can smell him, you can't kill him.
Yeah, I didn't entirely buy, but I was like, okay, sure.
A movie's got a movie. Only thing it told me is, okay, we're going to see Natasha break her nose.
Which, that scene was just like, damn, that she was ready to do that. Like, he didn't program that far ahead that you can't break your nose either.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to do something like this, you need to take it to the next step.
So, yeah, the Red Room is where they train future Black Widows to be awesome assassins, and they could do whatever they need to be in these power things. And you have Draco have a big elaborate scene explaining things and how the real world works, and it's just like, damn, he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
I'm guessing he didn't get snapped out, because if he got snapped out, what happens to those? He's too evil to get snapped out, I guess. Because what happens to all the Black Widows that if they get snapped? How does that work?
Was something else that wasn't. I thought they should have mentioned the blip, the snapshot, whatever we want to call it. I mean, it was like it never happened in this movie.
So, this takes place before that or after. When does this take place? This takes place after Civil War.
Exactly. That's another little problem. The timeline here is a kind of a little iffy. Like, what takes place when? That's why I thought it would have been a good idea to have certain characters in, and it would place what is. It would be easier for the audience to place when something is happening.
So, yeah, okay, this is after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So he could not get snapped out because he already dies at the end of this movie. So it still does...
Well, the thing is, we don't know, but there's a scene in the movie that takes place after Endgame. So, like I said, their timeline is a little wonky.
So they battle through and take down the airship, which is cool. I give him credit. It's cool, get off the radar by being above it, I don't know how he actually does this, but whatever. And you have this awesome fight scene where they're like, okay, we're going to make sure he dies. And you see Natasha just kind of flying through the air, but not like flying, but like, what is it called? Stylized falling.
Yeah.
And just trying to save her sister. And yeah, this whole last scene was really fun, especially in 3D. You see things floating around. You see things, just how that was shot was really cool. And then you fall down and you see Natasha actually break free of Taskmaster. And you learn that Taskmaster was a daughter that she thought she killed, but she didn't. We're kind of skipping some pieces here and there, but overall, giving you so she's freed.
Spoiler review, not a blow by blow. Yeah, just see the movie. If you want it blow by blow, just go see it.
So she frees Taskmaster from her, that, and the other girls are free too. She was almost going to get killed by the other Black Widows, which, you would think she'd do more damage than she did. Like, she'd have some broken ribs and almost be near death, but nope. There's a couple times where I was like, all right, she should have died from that, or she should have gotten really hurt from that, but no. Natasha, I mean. So we get the scene where everything's done, and then they're like, okay, come with us, Natasha, we could go. And she's like, no. And then you see General Ross go up, and then cuts to black, and then comes back, and then she's talking to Mason about having a jet, and I was like, what the hell happened there?
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, just go with them, and you can figure that out. You don't have to fight this whole army of Ross and all them by herself. It makes a lot of sense. So why was that cut out? What scenes there that we didn't get to see? That I really felt like first time it was jarring. Second time I was like, no, I'm buying that. Why not go with them? You lose. You don't gain anything by that. Maybe to set up the scene where she escapes and help, but still, there's got to be a better way of doing that.
I think these little things are why this movie got an 8 instead of a higher score. But 8 is still a really good score.
Yeah. So you see the last scene with Mason, and okay, I got you a jet, and you now assuming that she's gonna go save, B in Avengers: Infinity War. So then you get the post-credit scene with Yenna at Natasha's grave. This is after Endgame, and I guess someone made her grave.
Yeah.
And Valentina come up and say, this is the guy that killed Black Widow, and it's Bart, or...
it's Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Yeah. Okay, Clint Bart. So I'm wondering if that's going to come in play on the Hawkeye TV show.
Yeah. So that's... you kind of assume that she would be a good guy, and it should, she could be in the Avengers after that, but I guess not. I guess Valentina got her first. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I've been hearing stuff that says William Hurt isn't going to be playing Ross anymore, so Valentina may be kind of taking over, basically that part. So who knows if we're going to get a Red Hulk anytime soon or not.
Well, I imagine that instead of Red Hulk, it would just be the Abomination, because they're obviously making the team of the anti-Avengers or the whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we know Tim Roth is coming back, and he was awesome as the Abomination.
So we already have another Captain America with with the TV show, and we got now another Black Widow, and we have another Hulk there, so... That team is assembling.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts.
I mean, I don't know what term they're gonna. There's multiple names for these teams, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and if they're doing Thunderbolts, there's a chance we might have Hawkeye on it, Baron Zemo.
Now, I imagine Zemo's dead. That Wakanda did not spare him, not lightly.
No, they let him. The Raft has him. Wakanda turned him over to the Raft.
So, I don't know where that goes there, but we'll see. We definitely know.
So the minute the story twisted and the Wakandans handed him over to the Raft, I said, Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with all that.
Yeah, I mean, you never know how this is going to go because something can happen, an actor's contract could run out, or they want to do something else, or they want to go in a different direction. We'll see what the future brings.
But I definitely think that Scarlett Johansson was able to carry her own movie and be badass in it, and I'm so glad that this movie exists, even though it came at a weird time.
The wait. I mean, I wish I didn't have to wait this long, but it was worth the wait.
Yeah, and we have a lot of new characters to play with, a lot more things to chew on. Now, I think Marvel was hyping this up a little bit because they really didn't want it to fail, and they kind of were like, "Oh, this is going to change, the whole Phase 4 or whatever." And it's like, I guess, but not a lot, not as much as like Loki TV show.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely see what happens. Anything else is referenced in the future, but I really did enjoy Black Widow, and I enjoyed it a second time in 3D, and I was able to enjoy both in 3D and 2D, and I still recommend it in 3D. The last action scene in the sky was great in 3D, just so much fun, and just time after time, little scenes here and there.
And there's and the airplane stuff, at the end of the beginning is incredible too in 3D.
There's like one scene where Natasha was just like going upstairs, and it's like, oh wow, how the depth there to give that illusion of how the staircase was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just scene after scene that's like, this is nice. Definitely, if IMAX 3D was available for this, I would recommend it. But it doesn't look like IMAX 3D is playing around with Black Widow or 3D movies anymore. So
yeah, that's a pity.
So yeah, overall, the problems I had with it, Taskmaster was kind of a weak villain. I mean, it was interesting how they played it off in this movie, but it was very much a one-note character, which it makes sense, but I also wanted a little more out of it. And of course, Dreykov was very much your standard scumbag kind of villain. You kind of wonder what things he has done to change history that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And then the ending with the just kind of like cut to black, and then you come back and, oh, she survived. I was like, what? And then I want to know more of Budapest. I want to see that scene. What the hell they're talking about? But hopefully, I guess in the in the Hawkeye TV show, they'll finally explain that, which they've been teasing too much now. I don't think anything could really hype it up now. Anything can live up to that hype, I guess, probably a better way of saying it.
Yeah, the way fandom has gotten themselves in a tizzy over various, face it, they're just damn conspiracy theories. Y'all are embarrassing us. I mean, I have to admit, I got swept up in some of the could Mephisto really be showing up stuff. And could we be getting the multiverse because Quicksilver is instead of Ralph Boner, which was hilarious.
Yeah, you could theorize this to an infinite degree, and
it's fun to theorize, but when you set your hopes, dreams, and you get so worked up that this has to be what it's going to be, and they come up with another way to tell the story they want to tell, and it disappoints you. You may want to rethink your priorities. Just saying.
Yeah, and I agree. And I understand people really love Taskmaster and can't say that word,
Yeah,
but
Taskmaster. I love Taskmaster too, but I thought the change they made to the Taskmaster character worked beautifully in this movie. And there can be more than one Taskmaster, just as there's more than one Black Widow.
or Captain America.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or Hulk.
Yeah, the MCU has learned what DC's known for decades. You can have multiple Green Lanterns, Batmans, Supermans on the same planet. You don't have to have multi-dimensions, and you can have multiple ones from multiple dimensions and timelines, and it's all copacetic.
You make it work.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So everybody can get what they want.
So, and if they really want to make a big difference, then they can have multiple universes. But I imagine that, Taskmaster will be something that they use often, every once in a while. It could be someone else, who cares? And it could maybe be a robot in the future.
And a lot of people had problems with Taskmaster being in a male form-fitted suit. I just assumed Dreykov did that to his daughter, is so nobody would consider Taskmaster a Black Widow.
Yeah, and to also to not give away the identity of it, and it doesn't really matter the gender of it. It's more or less to neutralize it, and because obviously comic books can have a real sexist appeal to how a female looks and how a quote unquote male looks.
To me, it was more chilling because I'm sitting here going, not only did he do this to a woman, he did it to his own daughter.
Yeah, and it works. So there's definitely some connective tissue that could have helped to cement things here, and there's just some scenes that are missing, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I guess that's a wrap for Black Widow. Definitely look forward to more Marvel movies. Shang-Chi coming up, and I'm not sure about Eternals yet, but they haven't failed me yet.
Yeah? Well, unless you count Inhumans.
Well,
we don't.
I don't. I mean, I am disappointed in how they basically, had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they connected to the movies, but then they stopped connecting. And I really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, and I do feel bitter that they never try to connect to the Netflix shows really at all. So, but overall, film-wise, they haven't failed me yet.
Yep.
They're disappointed me, but they haven't failed me. And I definitely think you could enjoy this movie, and it's a good movie to see in the big screen, and it definitely feels right to be in the big screen.
But wait, there's more!
So I'm here with New Jake. This is Adolf. And what are your thoughts on Black Widow? With spoilers.
I enjoyed it. It's not the best MCU movie, but I did like it, but way better than Captain Marvel.
Well, let's not compare. So what did you like about this movie? What did you not like about it?
I like the smaller scale of the movie, where it just felt kind of refreshing to not start with a huge bang, just like a small gunshot versus an explosion. It's comforting to go back to see a Marvel movie in theater. First off, but it's just I can't wait. Hang on just a second. Oh, sorry about that. But I had a really good time watching the movie. Thing I didn't like the villain. A very weak
Taskmaster. Taskmaster.
The Taskmaster and all the guy, the bad guy. What's his name?
I'll look that up as you're talking.
Okay.
So now, just for listeners, this part we're editing into the podcast with Classic Jake's review, spoiler-filled review. So if we talk about stuff that we talked about there, just happened. We may have stuff in here that's different from the other one, but we're trying to keep things, just timing-wise, it didn't work to have everyone at the same time. But either way, You're not talking about the Red Guardian.
I want to say it's Boris or something. I can't remember his name, but played by Ray Winstone.
Okay.
He was that uninteresting of a villain.
He was your typical sleazy guy behind the curtain kind of thing.
Yeah, essentially. Like, he almost kind of felt like Jeff Bridges' character from the first Iron Man movie, where a guy in a suit, not a lot of power, rules everything. And he was just very uninteresting. I mean, well performed. Came in a bit too late for my taste. That was like really the real weakness. And also, it was supposed to be like a spy thriller, but there wasn't really anything like sleuthy or spy like. Because instead of like finding stuff on her own, it was, well, we're gonna break this guy out of jail to reunite with his fake wife from the opening of the movie with her fake sister, and then they find the building up in the sky, the Red Room, and I just didn't feel like a spy movie. Like, she didn't find that at herself at all. It was just kind of a letdown.
Ray Winstone was Dreykov.
Dreykov, that's the name. So he's that uninteresting to remember.
He kind of played off like basically your drug dealing, sex pedophile kind of, I control everything, kind of villain.
Oh, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. So the fact that this movie takes place in between other movies, did that throw you off or no?
It should have happened back in 2010, 2011 when she was introduced, or hell, even after Captain America Civil War, which would have been, that would have fit,
Well, this movie takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, so
yeah.
It's more jarring now that it's like, okay, just release it then, not release it now. Why are you waiting till now to have this? Because now we go into this movie knowing what's going to happen at Avengers Endgame, so you kind of lose some momentum there, and it's like, well, you know what's going to happen. She can't really.
Yeah, it kind of deflates the purpose of Black Widow, essentially, the character and the movie. It's just, this is here for filler, contract, filler, and to earn money, which it's doing a really good job at earning money.
Now, how many times have you seen this movie?
Once.
Okay, I've seen it twice. So,
okay.
Just throwing that out there. How'd you like the 3D?
The 3D was surprisingly really good. It could have been improved in parts, but largely it was okay.
All right. What grade would you give the 3D?
Oh, God. It is borderline great. I mean, it's really hard. It's kind of teetering on like really good to lower grade great. It's just right there where it could have elevated it, or it could have been worse. But I'll just say great, because there's some shots that amaze me of what they did with the pop out effect. So I'll say great.
Okay. You have not read Classic Jake's review, have you?
I have not.
Okay. He gave it great.
Okay, that's fair.
And since I did watch it in 3D, I agree. It's on the verge, but it's enough to give it great. Like, I wanted it to be Editor's Choice great, but it's not quite there. But it's worth watching in 3D, definitely.
Right, because I think it's because of the smaller scale. There's action, but not as much action as like Civil War or Endgame or anything like that. But it's there, and the 3D works really well.
Now this, I don't know if you saw this in this movie. I'm just gonna say it. It seems like this had a big kind of, like it wasn't exactly written this way, but it had a tone that was very familiar, and it was like very much allusion or allegory to the sex trade of women and girls, and like, did you see that or no?
Oh yeah, I mean that was pretty much telegraphed from the get go. It was just the mistreatment of women, the big baddie guy just slapping women around, the forced sterilization of women. Yeah.
I did feel like it was a good like feminist kind of movie, but without being a in your face feminist movie.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's not Captain Marvel.
yeah, it's not Captain Marvel kind of in your face, but it's also I think it's like where Wonder Woman 84 should have been.
Yeah, like a better film.
But yeah, B though, also having a way to have a superhero that is also is she's not battling aliens, she's battling a corrupt human nature element, and it is very much in line with how humanity is, with how horrible a lot of people are against the sex trade. Is just awful, and there's no if ands or buts around there. It's just awful, and there's a lot of that going on in real life. And to have a badass as Black Widow, as Scarlett Johansson in here, it was nice to see her trying to win the day. And it's like, okay,
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, but the real star of the show was Florence Pugh. She was just wonderful as Yelena. Such a great performance.
Yeah. All the other actors I really like as well. I don't like none of here. I really hated. Like I really loved David Harbour. I really loved Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Even the younger characters, I dig.
Oh yeah.
The movie starts off in the 1990s and as a young family, and I like them a lot.
Oh yeah, I really love that opening scene. That is, as the usher said, the best part of the movie, and I happen to agree with the usher. It was really a wonderful done sequence.
It was interesting because it played off so differently than you'd expect it to, but it was just genuine, and it felt like, oh wow, this something is really going on. Now, this movie is weird because it also, like I said, in between two movies, but it's a standalone movie, but it's also not a standalone movie because I feel like I was gonna go see this, and then my mom was like, "Oh, can I come with?" And I was like, "Well." I saw it already, so I knew what was happening here, but she has not seen a single Marvel movie at all. So, is she going to understand some things? I don't think so. I think she'll be kind of lost, but she'll kind of get overall. So, it's in that weird kind of, yeah, it's standalone, but not really.
Right, because I mean, there's enough new characters that haven't been introduced before, and then it kind of cuts to the mid credit sequence where you see her just dead, and it's like, what happened to Black Widow in the meantime? It's like, you got to watch Endgame, you got to watch these other movies.
And like General Ross kind of always following her, you don't understand that at all in this movie unless you've seen, or remember Captain America: Civil War.
Right. Which, I mean, there's a little bit like, you broke the Sokovia Accord, we're coming to get you. Yeah.
But if you don't know what that means, you're like, okay.
Yeah. Which I think I had to tell my fiance that because she's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Oh, this thing from Captain America: Civil War," but she hadn't seen that, and she's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Now it's interesting that David Harbour as Alexei was like saying, "Oh, I fought Captain America." Is he referring to fighting Captain America like from another universe, or fighting Captain America from like a black Captain America that was there that we learned about in Captain America and the Winter Soldier TV show?
I think I think the prisoners was kind of wise to that because they was like, wasn't he frozen after this point in time until he was found in like 2010, 2011, whatever year it was, and he was like, "But I did do it, I actually did it. Don't question."
So yeah, there's definitely there. Now I was thinking this was going to be taking place a different time period altogether. I was not I did not go into this movie thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be in between Civil War and Infinity War. I thought this would take place like 20 years ago.
I thought there was going to do the thing like, whatever her and Hawkeye was talking about, like the
Budapest.
The Budapest incident, which they do go to Budapest in the movie, And they talk about how she hadn't been back since that one thing, but I want to see the Budapest incident. What is it? I need to know.
Yeah, I was really thinking that was going to be the thing. And I was like, okay, cool. We're finally going to figure out what the hell the Budapest situation was. It's like, well, we know now that it's connected to Dreykov and, her killing off, or quote unquote killing off the kid and Dreykov, but that we don't know the whole story there. What else happened? So it's just like, you keep teasing me, man. Are you going to ever show that?
I mean, maybe it's for the best, because if we finally see it, then it'll be, oh, that's it. But I still wonder. It's like, just show it or stop talking about it.
What do you think of the Russian accents?
They're okay. I mean, David Harbour, really good actor. I think he did fine. Scarlett Johansson didn't even attempt one. Florence Pugh did okay. Yeah, I mean, just stereotypical Hollywood Russian accent. I don't know if it's any accurate at all, but they're fine. I've heard worse.
I've heard worse. I've heard better. It's also it's like on that verge of being like Borat kind of level, where it's like, okay, Borat is obviously satire and obviously trying to go over the top with it, and but it's not completely bad Russian, but it's not completely great Russian either, or Russian kind of flavoring of the English.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not like Moose and Squirrel from like Rocky and Bullwinkle. I'm so glad it's not that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I did like the action here with the just closer combat action there, and
I mean, it's fine.
The post-credit scene, what do you think of that?
It's good. But you have to. I mean, she introduces herself, but you'd have to watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to understand who Countess Valentina is. But it was fine. It's clearly leading up to the Hawkeye TV series, and I think Florence Pugh's going to be in that show.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that Florence Pugh would take on the mantle of the next Black Widow, but I guess she's going to be a bad Black Widow instead of a good one like Scarlet was.
She's probably going to be teaming up with the U.S. agent, and it's going to be like the anti-Avengers,
Yeah, which is they're getting in there. I'm guessing that maybe we'll see more about Abomination in Shang-Chi, and she could get him on the team as well, because that way they'll have a Hulk, that way they'll have a Captain, that way they'll have a Black Widow.
Yeah, it's just going to be, it's going to be to the point where it's going to be hard to keep track, and you have to write it down on paper, who's with who is what, and go from there. Okay, so what would you give this as a score? A solid 7 out of 10. I want to say 8, but I think 7 is perfect for this. So Classic Jake gave it an 8, and in my initial first viewing, it was a 7, but after rewatching it, I give it an 8. So there's definitely some things that, okay, I like how you see the bigger picture when you see it from the beginning overall. So yeah, definitely recommend it. It's a good time, and it's worth going to theater for. Yes, I mean it's doing bonkers at the box office and on Disney Plus. So I mean, go see it. It's a really good movie. All right, I guess that's it for us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D, Mr. Bengal 5, and Kevin Winter for your financial support on Patreon.com. So that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Links are in the info box. If you want to send us listener mail, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.